Good evening and welcome to the March 24th, 2026 Council Planning Public Meeting. Members of the public may watch and or participate in the open meeting using any of the following methods. You can attend in person at the North Dumfries Community Complex and located at 2958 Greenfield Road. Attend electronically to observe the meeting and or to speak to an item on the agenda by registering with Clerk's Division. You can watch the live stream by accessing the meeting on the Township YouTube page. The live stream is for viewing only and not for direct participation. Submitted written comments to the clerk's office in advance of the meeting have been provided to the mayor and council prior to the meeting and will form part of the public record. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge and thank everyone for joining us this evening. We appreciate your participation. As we come together to serve the community, I ask that we create a welcoming and positive environment for everyone that includes respect. That we listen to each other with care, speak thoughtfully, and engage kindly with one another. Kindness, that we treat everyone, council, staff, and the public with respect and understanding. And inclusion, that we embrace diverse perspectives and respect each other's opinions. And I'm going to pause there for a minute and say that over the years, when I shut up and listened to other people's opinions, I learned so much more than hearing my own voice. Together, we can make this meeting space one where respect, kindness, and inclusion are at the heart of everything we do. Behavior that's disrespectful, disruptive, aggressive, or intimidating will result in those individuals being asked to leave. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Approval of the agenda, please feel free to.
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Roman, that council adopt the March 24th, 2026 Council Planning Public Meeting Agenda as presented.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. I'd now like to do the indigenous acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather today is the traditional territory of Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Mutual people. We acknowledge the enduring presence of the indigenous people with whom we share this land today, their achievements and their contributions to our community. We offer this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. You know, even when I was growing up, I used to say Canadians respect you first, and you have to lose that respect. But we do. We're really open-hearted to people. I think maybe we learned that from the Indigenous. They welcomed us. They respected who we were, and they thought that we would come in and be quiet with them. And then, as we know, history turned it. It is our job to go back to respect, but not just for the Indigenous, but for everybody. Respect first, be open first, and then be wise about who you carry it forward with. So let's pause and think about respecting one. Thank you. Is there any disclosure between an interest to adjourn together? Seeing none, committee of adjustment motion, please, Councillor Williams.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Williman, that council meeting adjourned at 6:03 p.m. to sit as committee of adjustment for the purposes of holding public meetings pursuant to the provisions of the Planning Act.
All those in favor? Very thank you. And now I'd like to call the meeting to order and approval of the agenda. Councillor Williman, please.
Moved by myself and by Councillor Tilley that committee adopt the March 24th, 2026 committee adjustment agenda as presented.
All those in favor? Very thank you. Is there any disclosure of community interest? The generator there. Next, we have minutes of the previous meeting. Again, so we should play catch up.
Thank you.
Yes.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Tilley that committee approve the committee adjustment meeting minutes dated February 24th, 2026.
All those in favor? Very thank you. Next is the hearing public meetings, minor variance application is no, that's not it. We're going to 6.6. Reports and recommendation, minor variance and consent application 6.6.1. Report number PD 18, 2026, minor variance application for 1226 Dumfries Road, file number A-04/26. Notice has been given in accordance with the Planning Act. The Secretary Treasurer will keep a record about. Have you heard this before? You can say it with me. And keep a record of all persons who provide comments on this application and those who register with the clerk's department to request a notice of decision. These individuals will be notified of the decision or the convening of future meetings on the application. There is a sign-in sheet at the table at the back of the meeting room to complete for those who wish future notices related to this file. Christina Blandoza, planner GIS technician, will present this application. Christina, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The following presentations for minor variance application A04/26 for the property located at 1226 Dumfries Road. The purpose of this report is to present a staff recommendation for the committee's consideration. Public meeting was held on February 24th, 2026. The property is located on the west side of Dumfries Road, south of the intersection of Greenfield Road and Dumfries Road. This property consists of a one-story single detached dwelling, an existing cottage/additional dwelling unit, and an accessory building. The property is approximately 5 hectares in size with a lot frontage of 150 meters onto Dumfries Road. Surrounding land uses are agricultural and rural residential. The property is zoned Z1 agriculture with site-specific zoning exemption 20.1.54 and designated agricultural and township official plan. The purpose of the application is to facilitate the construction of a new two-story single detached dwelling on the subject property. As part of the proposal, the existing principal dwelling is to be reclassified and recognized as a coach house, which includes an attached garage and walkout basement. In addition, the existing detached accessory building containing a dwelling unit is proposed to be converted to an accessory building only, with the dwelling unit removed. The new principal dwelling, shown in red, will have a building footprint of approximately 123 square meters and a total gross floor area of approximately 227.5 square meters. An accessory building located within the footprint of the new dwelling will be demolished to accommodate the new construction. The existing principal dwelling, shown in green, which is proposed to be recognized as a coach house, is approximately 168 square meters. The coach house includes an attached accessory garage, which has a footprint of approximately 47.8 square meters. And this coach house also includes a walkout basement. The existing second accessory building, shown in blue, which is currently utilized as an additional dwelling unit, is proposed to be converted to an accessory building only, with the dwelling unit removed. The converted accessory building will have a building footprint of approximately 74 square meters. The 3D rendering on the screen is an image of the proposed two-story principal dwelling. The following minor variances are being requested. Section 6.40.7 permits a maximum coach house size of 40% of the footprint of the principal dwelling unit. The owner seeks relief from this provision to permit a maximum size of 137% of the footprint of the principal dwelling unit. Section 6.40.8I establishes that the coach house cannot be located closer to the street line than the principal dwelling. The owner seeks relief from this provision to permit the coach house to be located closer to the street line than the principal dwelling. And section 6.40.10 establishes that a basement is not permitted in a coach house. The owner seeks relief from this provision to permit a basement within the coach house. The photo on the top left is the existing principal dwelling to be converted to the coach house. The image on the bottom left is the existing cottage/dwelling unit to be converted to an accessory building only. The image on the right shows an existing accessory building that is proposed to be demolished, and the new two-story principal dwelling will be constructed in that approximate area. This image is a panoramic view of the property. The left side of this image is where the driveway is. The left side of this image where the driveway is facing towards the road frontage, and that is where the existing principal dwelling is located. As you come further into the property, you will reach the existing accessory building shown on the right of this image. This is the accessory building that will be demolished and where the new two-story principal dwelling will be constructed. And tucked in behind on the right of the image is the existing cottage/dwelling unit. No correspondence has been received from any members of the public, and there have been no concerns from any of the departments or commenting agencies. Planning staff have the following comments in response to the questions raised during the public meeting. First, with respect to the conversion to a coach house versus a severance, the applicant has confirmed that there is no intention to pursue a severance at this time. A severance would require additional planning applications and approvals, which are not being pursued. Staff are satisfied that recognizing the existing dwelling as a coach house is an appropriate approach to allow both dwellings to remain on the property. With respect to the requested coach house size, this is primarily the result of comparing building footprints. The proposed principal dwelling is 2 stories, while the existing dwelling is a single story, which inflates the percentage when only footprint is considered. While the existing dwelling represents approximately 130% of the footprint of the proposed dwelling, it is only about 74% of the total floor area of the proposed new dwelling. The new dwelling will be larger in height, massing, overall size or overall scale, and will function as the principal dwelling. In terms of precedent, the minor variance applications are reviewed on a site-specific basis based on the four tests of the Planning Act. In this case, staff have considered the large rural lot context and the separation from neighboring properties. And lastly, with respect to a future severance scenario, if a severance were ever considered through the appropriate planning processes, the dwelling on the severed lot would be considered the principal dwelling on that lot. Planning staff is of the opinion that the requested variances meet the four tests for minor variances outlined by the Planning Act. First, that the variance is minor in nature. The subject property is a large rural lot with significant separation from neighboring properties and limited visibility from the roadway. There are already 2 dwelling units on this property, and the proposal reconfigures the existing development to provide additional living space without increasing intensity. Given the size of the property and surrounding context, the variances will not result in adverse impacts and are considered minor in nature. Second, that the variance is desirable. The proposed development takes into account the natural features on the property and clusters development to minimize impact, while also providing a larger and more functional living space. The property contains a pond, changes in elevation, and significant tree cover, which limits suitable building areas. The proposed dwelling is located within existing open area and avoids additional tree removal. This proposal also supports a coach house for multi-generational living. Third, that the variance meets the intent of this zoning bylaw. A coach house is a permitted use within the Z1 agricultural zone. The existing dwelling is proposed to function as the coach house and will remain secondary in size and function, as the proposed 2-story dwelling is larger in height, massing and overall floor area, with the coach house representing approximately 74% of the total floor area. While the coach house is located closer to the street, the property is heavily treed and not readily visible from the roadway. And for that, the variance meets the intent of the official plan. The proposal maintains a low-density rural character and allows a permitted accessory residential use and does not increase the number of dwelling units on the property. Planning staff recommend that minor variance application 804/26 be approved subject to the condition listed in the recommendation section of PD report number 18-2026. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Christina. And Elizabeth, did you want to speak?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mayor Foxton. Sorry, my throat's a little froggy. I have a cold. And Township councilors. First, I'd like to thank Christina for all your help and for presenting the minor variance on our behalf. You certainly understand the details and bylaws far better than I could. I would like to focus my comments on what my family hopes to achieve, and therefore why we're asking for your approval for a minor variance. In a nutshell, we'd like to establish multi-generational living, enabling me to stay in my home and my daughter and son-in-law to build a family home. We know that severing this parcel of land is prohibited, and that suits us because we have no desire to do so and no intention to apply for that. My late husband Ted and I fulfilled a long-term dream of living in the country when we moved to this property. We were very excited to have found such a lovely property and to be able to afford it. We purposely chose a property with a bungalow so we could age in place. We both grew up nearby and raised our family in Cambridge, and we've embraced Ayr as our community since moving here. Together, we became good land stewards and learned how to manage the land and have continually opened our property to environmental researchers and for the local school board to bring high school students to the property in the spring and fall. Sadly, my husband died 2 years ago. This was unexpected and threw into question the prospect of me growing old in my home. I would very much like to, but I can't manage 12 acres by myself. Fortunately for me, Anne and Zach would like to make this their permanent home. Understandably, they don't want to bunk in with me. Instead, they wish to build a family home, and doing so as proposed is an affordable choice for them. In summary, we'd like to facilitate multi-generational living, permitting me to stay in my home with family support close by as I age. And in this tough housing market, this also allows a young couple to build an affordable family home. We hope you'll consider the unique aspects of our property and our variance application. We ask that you approve our request as recommended by the township staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Corey, did Corey wish to speak?
He's just available to answer.
Oh, okay. Questions, councilors? Seeing none, can I have the motion, please, Councilor Rose?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Woolman, that meeting report number 18-2026 be received. And that minor variance application A-04/26 being a request to permit a maximum coach house size of 137%, 168 meters squared of the footprint of the principal dwelling unit, whereas section 640.7 of general zoning bylaw number 689-83 permits a maximum coach house size of 40% of the footprint of the principal dwelling unit. B, the coach house to be located closer to the street line, whereas section 6.40.8 section 2 of general zoning bylaw number 689-83 establishes that the coach house cannot be located closer to the street line than the front wall of the principal dwelling. And C, a basement within the coach house, whereas section 6.40.10 of general zoning bylaw number 689-83 established that a basement is not permitted in a coach house be approved, subject to the following condition: that the existing cottage dwelling on the subject property be permanently decommissioned as a dwelling unit and converted to an accessory building to the residential use, including the removal of all kitchen and facilities and components that would enable its use as a dwelling unit to the satisfaction of the chief building official prior to the issuance of a building permit for the proposed new dwelling, and the existing cottage dwelling shall not be used for residential purposes at any time thereafter.
All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Next is report 6.6.2, report of the meeting 2026, minor variance application for 3241 Roseville. Notice has been given in accordance with the Planning Act. The Secretary General will keep a record of all persons who provide comments on this application and those who register with the Post Department to request a notice of decision. Those individuals will be notified of the decision of the convening of future meetings on this application. There's a sign-in sheet at the table at the back of the meeting room to complete for those who wish future notice related to this file. Michael Proctor, Manager of Planning, will present this application. Michael, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The minor variance application for 3241 Roseville Road has been submitted by Carindale Contracting Limited on behalf of the owner. The application proposes to expand the existing dwelling to better meet the needs of the owner while also recognizing long-standing site conditions on the property through the zoning bylaw. Staff have completed a review of the application and all comments received through the circulation process have been addressed. The application has now been brought forward to the committee with a recommendation consideration. A public meeting was held for the application on February 24th, 2026. Subject lands are located on the south side of Roseville Road within the Roseville settlement area. This is an established rural residential area surrounded by a mix of residential and active agricultural lands. The property itself is relatively modest in size, being approximately 0.26 hectares in area, with about 20 meters of frontage onto Roseville Road. Today, the lot contains a 1.5-story single detached dwelling and a detached garage at the rear of the property. The home is serviced by private well and septic system. From a planning perspective, the property is designated settlement residential and ancillary in the Township official plan and is zoned Z3 rural residential in our zoning bylaw. That zoning permits a single attached dwelling and accessory structures, which is consistent with how the property is currently being used. The owner is proposing to expand the existing home with a single-story addition on its eastern side, along with an attached garage that would sit in front of that addition. The residential addition itself is about 75 square meters, and the proposed garage is just over 30 square meters, bringing the total building area of the house and garage to roughly 160 square meters or 1,710 square feet once completed. In addition to the new construction, the application is also looking to recognize a few existing conditions on the property that don't fully comply with the zoning bylaw. And that includes the location and lot coverage of the existing accessory building at the rear, as well as the driveway that's currently located in front of the established building line. And the elevations shown on the screen illustrate the proposed addition. The top drawing shows the front elevation as viewed from Roseville Road, and the lower drawing shows the eastern elevation as viewed from the eastern property line. And these just help to demonstrate the scale and the appearance of the proposed addition in relation to the existing home. The site plan on the screen illustrates how the proposed addition is positioned on the existing lot. The addition is located along the eastern side of the dwelling and extends toward the rear of the property, with the attached garage situated in the front of the addition, closer to Roseville Road. Along the eastern property line, you can see the reduced interior side yard setback that is being requested to accommodate the addition. And the plan also identifies the existing detached accessory garage at the rear of the property, as well as the existing looped driveway located in front of the established building line. These are existing conditions on the property that the applicant is seeking to recognize through the minor variance application. So the applicant is seeking relief from 5 total variances as part of this application. First, under section 6.4.2 of the zoning bylaw, an accessory building is required to be located a minimum of 1 meter from any interior or rear lot line. And the applicant is asking to recognize an existing accessory building that is located approximately 0.6 meters from the interior lot line. Second, under section 6.13.1b, off-street parking is required to be located behind the established building line, and relief is requested to recognize an existing loop driveway located in front of that building line. Third, under 6.13.3, no off-street parking area designed to contain more than 4 off-street parking spaces shall be located within 1.5 meters of any lot line. Relief is requested to recognize an existing looped driveway that provides off-street parking that is 1.25 meters from the interior side yard property line. And then fourth, under section 8.3.3a, a minimum interior side yard setback of 1.8 meters is required for a 1-story dwelling in the ZEN3 zone. The applicant is requesting a reduced setback of approximately 1.25 meters to allow the proposed residential addition. And then finally, under section 8.3.7a, accessory buildings in the ZEN3 zone are limited to a maximum lot coverage of 4% of the lot area. And the existing accessory building represents approximately 6.8% lot coverage, and the applicant is requesting relief to recognize that existing condition. These photos were taken by staff during our site visit in February. The image on the left shows the existing dwelling as viewed from Roseville Road, which helps illustrate the current scale of the house and its relationship to the street. And the photo on the right shows the existing accessory garage at the rear of the property, along with the driveway that runs along the side of the dwelling. This is the accessory structure that has the reduced interior side yard setback and the higher lot coverage that we referenced on the previous slide. At the time of preparing this report for tonight's meeting, the township has not received any written comments from members of the public as it relates to this application. The application was circulated to applicable agencies and township departments for review and comment. The Township Building Department provided standard comments noting that any future construction must comply with the Ontario Building Code and obtain the required building permits. He also advised that a grading and drainage plan will be required prior to permit issuance, and that the septic servicing will be reviewed at the building permit stage. The building department further recommended that a legal survey be provided to confirm the building setbacks and that the driveway setback from the property line be verified. Comments received from the Township Fire Department, Engineering and Public Works Department, Canada Post, Region of Waterloo, Grand River Conservation Authority, and Waterloo Catholic District School Board confirm that there are no concerns or objections to the proposed minor variance application. Planning Act sets out the 4 tests under section 45.1 that must be considered when evaluating a minor variance application. And starting with the first test, whether the proposal maintains the general intent and purpose of the official plan. Subject property is designated settlement residential and ancillary, which is intended to support low density residential development within the rural settlement areas such as Roseville. In this case, the proposal is for a modest addition to an existing single detached dwelling. It doesn't introduce a new use, and it continues to function as a residential property, which is exactly what the designation contemplates. From a compatibility perspective, the surrounding area is characterized by similar rural residential uses on larger lots, and the scale of the addition remains consistent with that context, and staff are satisfied that it maintains the intent of the official plan, particularly as it relates to land use compatibility. Moving to the second test, whether the proposal maintains the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. The property is zoned Z3 rural residential, which permits single detached dwellings and accessory structures. And the variances being requested relate primarily to setbacks and existing site conditions. In our review, the reduced interior side yard setback still maintains appropriate separation from the adjacent property. And in this case, that impact is further mitigated by the existing conditions on the neighboring lot. In addition, several of the variances are recognizing existing features on the property, including the driveway and the accessory building, which have been in place and functioning without any identified land use impacts. And based on that, staff are satisfied that the intent of the zoning bylaw is being maintained. Moving to the third test, whether the variances are desirable for the appropriate development or use of the land. In this case, the variances facilitate a reasonable expansion of the existing dwelling to improve its functionality for the owner. The addition remains modest in scale and continues to reflect the character of development in the surrounding area. It does not represent overdevelopment of the lot. Importantly as well, the application brings existing site conditions into zoning conformity, and that provides clarity moving forward and ensures the property can continue to function appropriately. And so from a planning perspective, staff are satisfied that the proposal represents appropriate and desirable development for the property. And finally, the fourth test is whether the variances are minor in nature. And when we look at the request for relief, the reductions in setbacks are relatively small and still maintain adequate separation from adjacent properties. The accessory building lot coverage, while exceeding the bylaw standard, remains appropriate given the size of the lot and its location at the rear of the property. And again, the driveway and accessory structures are existing conditions that have been in place without creating any adverse impacts. So when considering both individually and cumulatively, staff are of the opinion that the variances are minor. And so in conclusion, based on our review of the application and the applicable planning framework, staff are satisfied that the variances meet the four tests under the Planning Act. They maintain the intent of both the official plan and the zoning bylaw. They represent appropriate development for the property and are minor in nature. It is staff's opinion that the application represents good planning, and we are recommending approval.
Thank you, Michael. Are you done?
Almost.
Sorry.
Based on the planning analysis that has been completed, staff are recommending approval of this application. As outlined through the review, staff are satisfied that the proposal meets all the four tests, maintains the intent of the applicable planning framework, and does not introduce any adverse impacts on the surrounding properties. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Did anybody on the public want to speak? No? Okay, councilors, any questions? Seeing none, Councilor Rowan, pick the longest ones for you. It's, Councilor
Moved by
Rowan.
myself, second by Councilor Tilly, that P report number 19-2026 be received, and that minor variance application A-0326 for the property and street addresses 3241 Roseville Road to permit relief from the following section of general zoning bylaw number 689-83. A, section 6.13.1B of the zoning bylaw requires that all off-street parking areas be situated to the rear of the building line or lines. The owner seeks relief from this provision to recognize the existing dual access loop driveway that provides for available off-street parking in front of the established building line. B, section 6.13.3 of the zoning bylaw requires that no off-street parking area designed to contain more than 4 off-street parking spaces shall be located within 1.5 meters or 5 feet of any lot line, whereas the owner is seeking relief from this provision to recognize an existing dual access loop driveway that provides off-street parking area that's 1.25 meters from the interior side yard property line. And C, section 6.4.2 zoning bylaw requires that accessory building or structure be located a minimum of 1 meter from any interior or rear yard lot line, whereas the owner is seeking relief from this provision to recognize the existing location of accessory building with reduced setback of 0.6 meters to the interior side yard lot line. D, section 8.33 A of zoning bylaw requires a minimum interior side yard setback of 1.8 meters for a one-story dwelling, whereas the owner is seeking relief from the provision to permit reduced interior side yard setback of 1.25 meters. And E, section 8.3.7A of zoning bylaw requires that accessory buildings within the zone 3 classification not exceed a maximum lot coverage of 4% of total lot area, whereas the owner is seeking relief from the provision to recognize existing accessory building at the rear of the property with a lot coverage of 6.8% be approved.
All those in favor? Carried. And now the motion to discuss the last one to actually this.
Moved by myself, seconded by Alita Bones, that pursuant to the Planning Act, the public meeting of the Committee of Adjustment be adjourned at 6:28 p.m.
All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Councilor Tilly, you read the bylaws, please.
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Williams, that the following bylaw be read a first and second time. Bylaw numbers 3632-2016, and bylaw to conform to proceedings of council meeting held on March 24th, 2026.
All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next is third reading of the bylaws, please, Councilor Williams.
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Williams, that bylaw number 3632-26 be read a third and final time, signed and sealed by the clerk.
All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Let's give this up and sign this. Councilor Williams. Thank you. Adjourn that, please, Councilor Lawson.
Goodbye. He was moved by myself, by Dr. Jillian, and whereas business before this council friendly public meeting has been completed at 6:29 p.m. And be it resolved that this meeting adjourned.
All those in favor? Okay, thank you.